In this video, we'll go through building a CSS HTML rotating slider. It will also stop the rotation when we mouse over it. Let's get started. To start the process, let's open an empty folder and add our index.html and style.css style sheet. Let's open index.html and create a default HTML document structure. Simply press Shift plus exclamation mark to see HTML document shortcut and hit Enter to create the document HTML. Let's change our page title to match our page. In this case, we'll call it 3D image slider. Next, let's start creating our HTML structure inside the body tags. Then let's create our main container to hold the gallery images. We'll use rotating gallery shortcut to automatically create a div container with tab container class assigned. Next, add hyperlink for image inside for each gallery item to make them clickable when needed. The style simply changes CSS variable. This will help us later for styling. And image tag has a path to the image. Repeat this for all the images you have, in our case 8 images. Okay, now we have our HTML code written. Let's do the styling in CSS to get it working. To start the CSS styling, let's add a link to our style.css in the header section. You can use link :CSS shortcut and hit enter to create a link to the style.css style sheet. Be sure the path to the style sheet is correct. If you placed it in another folder, change the path to your .css file. When we want to preview the changes, it's best to install Live Server extension from the extensions marketplace. When Live Server is installed, you should see Go Live button on the bottom right corner. Simply click to preview the changes. Any new changes made to the code will also automatically show on the preview. Next, let's start creating the styles. The body class in the provided CSS code sets the styling for the entire web page, including the background gradient, flexbox properties for centering content, and the height and margin of the body element. Next, add display flags to arrange items in a row. Then the property justify content center helps with centering items horizontally and vertically. Now background. Linear gradient gives a gradient background and sets the background color or image. Add height, 18 viewport height, and margin top, 10 viewport height. To position the element, this sets the top. Let's see the results of our body class changes. Now let's create rotating gallery class, which will define the styles for the main slider container with specific dimensions and animation properties on a web page. Next, add display flags to arrange items in a row. Now, position relative positions the element relative to itself. Add width 12 root m and height 12 root m to set the element's size. This helps with 3D transformations for child elements. Finally, animation keep rotating 30 seconds. Linear infinite creates a continuous rotation. Let's define the keep rotating animation. We'll use keyframes for this, and we'll use rotate Y to keep rotating the container. Keyframes define a rotating animation. At 0% no rotation, at 100% a 360-degree rotation in perspective for a dynamic effect. Now 0% transform perspective 1000 pixels rotate Y 0 degree starts the rotation. Finally, 100% transform perspective 1000 pixels rotate Y 360 degree completes the rotation. Let's see the results on the right. Next, let's add hover so the rotation is paused on mouse over. The animation play state paused property pauses the animation. Now let's create a selector class for all elements in the rotating gallery container, and since they will be hyperlinks, we'll select all hyperlinks and add styling. Rotating gallery A, which targets all links, A elements, within elements with the class rotating gallery. Next, add position, absolute, to position the links. Now, insert 0 positions the element at the edges. Add width 100% and height 100% to fill the container. This helps with rotating the element around its center. Finally, transform rotate Y rotates the element in 3D space, and the cursor pointer property changes the cursor to pointer on hover. Next, let's select all the images in our hyperlinks, which will be the actual rotating images, and add the following styles. The rotating gallery A image selector targets all image within links inside elements with the class rotating gallery. Next, Add position, absolute, to position the image. Now inset 0 positions the image at the edges. Add white 100% and height 100% to fill the link. To round the image corners we use border radius 1.5 root m property that rounds the corners of an element, and object feed cover property scales the content to cover the container. Also, transition to seconds smoothens the image changes. Finally, we want to add styling on mouse over or hover effect on the images. Let's add transform translate y minus 50 pixels scale 1.7 to move and enlarge the image. Finally, transition 0.5 seconds smoothens the image transformation. We'll adjust the size and rotation values to make them fit in a smaller screen. So, add media max white 1200 pixels for responsive design. Now white 10 root m and height 10 root m resize the gallery. The CSS class rotating gallery is applied to an element, and when the user hovers over it, the animation of the gallery pauses. This selector targets all links within elements with the class rotating gallery. Finally, transform property rotates and moves an element in 3D space. The media rule applies styles to screens narrower than 768 pixels. Now white 5 root m and height 5 root m resize the gallery. Finally, transform, rotate Y and translate Z 150 pixels. Adjust the link's position. This CSS code creates a visually appealing 3D rotating image slider with responsive design, hover effects, and smooth animations. To ensure responsiveness, we've implemented two breakpoints, adjusting the size and rotation values for optimal presentation on smaller screens. This ensures that the 3D rotating image slider maintains its charm across various devices. Feel free to experiment and customize these styles to suit your creative vision. If you found this tutorial helpful and insightful, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Happy coding, and may your web projects shine with engaging visual elements.